How to Stay in the I Am by Tom Das. Sri Nisargadatta says in the book I Am that he focused on the feeling I am, which sounds like pretty simple instruction. But to make a plan and follow up his advice and actually practice focusing attention on the feeling I am for a long period is the key. Nisargadatta says, stay with the I am. I think he is telling us to stay with the I am. It's that simple. We can take his words for face value, I think. But who wants to stay with the I am? Who wants to do that? Raise your hand if you want to stay with the I am. People don't want to stay with the I am. People want to do everything but to stay with the I am. People want to read about staying with the I am. People want to talk about staying with the I am. But who wants to actually do it? Sri Nisargadatta said, it is not just listening to my words, it's following them. So again, the mind tries to always escape the heart of the teaching. The mind is always trying not to get this, and it will do everything it can often to avoid this. So, who wants to stay with the I am? Nisargadatta's staying with the I am is a wonderful practice. It's a powerful practice. It will take you all the way home. Because what you are doing is you are taking away the power of the ego, taking away the sense of identity. You are no longer identifying yourself as this or that. These words, this or that, are being referred to objects or phenomena. Objects are the things that appear to us, that we are aware of, that we perceive. Objects that appear in our consciousness, and we identify with these objects. For example, we identify with the body, the mind, and the world. The primary identification is with the body-mind. Perhaps the primary identification is with the mind. And staying in the I am is saying, no, don't identify as the body. Don't identify as the mind. Don't place your attention on the body. Don't place your attention on the mind. In the way I say it, be with God, be with yourself, meaning that true self, the essence of yourself, that part of you which is ever present here, which is nothing but bliss, whole and complete. Just stay there. Just be. In other words, it is called turning inwards. They call that turning inwards or introspection or introversion. If you see it clearly, you will notice that it is not actually turning inwards. You can't turn inwards. Turning inwards just means stop going outwards. That's truly turning inwards. But if you try and turn inwards, that's just another place you are going. which is actually turning outwards because you are going to another place. You are looking for something somewhere. Now, to stay with the I am, you need faith in the teaching. So, in Nisargadatta's case, he talks about how he had faith in his Guru. His Guru told him to stay in the I am. For some reason, he had connection with his Guru. He was blessed. Since Nisargadatta had complete and total faith in his Guru, and when his Guru said, stay with the I am, he just followed his Guru's instruction. Nisargadatta talks about how he spent as much time as possible amidst his busy life of being a householder, of looking after his shop. He had a family, wife and children, and finances to look after, and stresses and strains of being not so wealthy person in 20th century India in Mumbai. You imagine that couldn't have been an easy life, and yet he carved out time every day to be with the I am. Why? Because he had faith. He had complete and total faith in his Guru's teaching. So you need the faith, and it works. It certainly works. The teaching works. And as I said, it will take you all the way home. Just be with the I am. This is all you need to understand. And then the understanding, the logic of understanding leads to faith, and that leads to practice. Alternatively, you don't necessarily need faith. You can start with logic and the understanding. But how does understanding go? The understanding goes like this. It is important to realize that fulfillment, lasting fulfillment, is what we are interested in, right? What are we interested in? We are interested in lasting fulfillment. Make that your goal. Make the lasting fulfillment your goal, not the temporary fulfillment. Eventually, a temporary pleasure leads to pain because it will go and it's unstable. Even if it doesn't go, you will be afraid of losing it. And in the end, everything you attain, you will eventually lose or you will die. You will lose it through death. So, you will be afraid of death. But we are looking for a lasting happiness, lasting fulfillment. And notice that lasting fulfillment cannot be obtained through any object, through anything, through any phenomena. No thing can give us lasting fulfillment. And the ego, the person, is looking for happiness in objects, is looking for happiness in the body, the mind, and the world, in worldly things. Person is looking for happiness even in conceptual things. And concepts are just things. They are just objects. They are subtle objects that appear to us. So, it's vitally important to convince yourself through logic or through faith that no happiness, meaning lasting happiness and fulfillment, can be found through the objects of the world. And when you don't seek happiness in the objects of the world, then you are resting in the I am. Let me repeat. And when you don't seek happiness in the objects of the world, then you are resting in the I am. You don't have to try and rest in the I am. Just not seeking happiness in the objects, you are resting in the I am. You are being as you are. Essentially, this is called renunciation or dispassion. In Sanskrit, the word is vairagya. Vairagya, which means dispassion or renunciation or letting go or turning inwards. Once again, turning inwards, in reality, you are not turning inwards. You are not just going outwards. In order to practice staying in the I am, you have to be utterly convinced that there is no point in looking for anything in objects in terms of your self-fulfillment. That doesn't mean we don't need any objects at all. We need to eat and live and survive. So we all need objects for that. We will need food, water, and shelter. So the body would actually seek those things, but not for its fulfillment, just for its survival. And beyond that, we don't need anything else to be happy. And in fact, seeking happiness in objects causes suffering. That is the cause of suffering. That is suffering. That is the ego. That is the functional aspect of the ego. That's the ego's function. That's how ego acts. It seeks happiness from fulfillment through objects, through phenomena. In other words, there is no happiness to be found in the world, meaning the world of objects, both subtle and gross objects. Understand that experiences, all experiences are objects. Even the knowledge and understanding is an object. So, what I am teaching you here is an understanding. That understanding too is an object that appears to you. And the purpose of understanding is to stop you seeking fulfillment in outer things. And when that stopped, then the natural happiness, that is our true nature, that is natural to us, arises by itself as an object because we perceive that. Then what happens? Through this understanding, our desires, our habitual tendencies reduce. Because we realize these things leads to suffering and they don't give lasting fulfillment. Still, remember that understanding alone is not enough. Why? Because if you have got very strong desires for fulfillment in certain things, your addictive tendencies and whatever they happen to be, whether it's to food or to sex or to music or to socializing or to drugs or to whatever it is, whatever addictive tendencies you have, some of them are really strong. And this is where purification teachings can be very important to practice. Things like pranayama, like chanting, like mantras, because these things practically can keep us from following these addictive desires and they can help us break us out of them. This is where meditation ultimately becomes very, very important. So we are becoming very quiet, very silent. The seeds of ignorance are weakened and the momentum of ignorance is weakened and the momentum of self-realization is strengthened and we get this virtuous circle. So, what I'm saying, yes, be with the I am. It's a great teaching. If you resonate with it, do it. If you resonate with Nisargadatta, do that. Read books that encourage you to do it, but then do it. Don't just talk about it. Even after this understanding, there are few who are still confused as to what exactly it means to be in the I am. Yes, it can be very confusing. When I was seeking, I came across Nisargadatta's teachings and I bought few of his books, I Am That, and few of his later ones as well. And I actually went through them all and wrote it down whenever he describes it. Because often he will say, stay in the I am, but he won't explain what it means. And at other times, he will explain what it means. So, I wrote down all the different descriptions he gives, and they are different. In different places, he uses the word I am to refer to something slightly different. So sometimes he is talking about the Absolute, that consciousness which never changes. Sometimes he is talking about the palpable sense of presence, which is actually a very subtle object. That is called Sattva, a sense of peace, a peace that comes and goes. He talks about that as the I am. And sometimes he talks about sense of being an individual, the sense of being the ego, that me, the doer, as the I am. So whatever it is for you, it doesn't matter actually. You just hold on to one of them. That's the only thing you have to do. Actually, it is not doing, just observing. If this teaching is for you and you resonate with it, that's the resting in the I am. It can be resting in the jiva, which means resting in the ego. Just say me, me, me. The sense of me, maybe it's in your body. And when you rest in that, after a while, you realize that that's just an object that appears to you. It's not you. And then the sense of I am moves from being in the body to that which knows the body. Maybe it is a more subtler or more fine sense of I am. Maybe it's a sense of presence that is in the chest. And then after some time, you realize again that that's just another object. And eventually, you realize all these are objects. And by, you arrive at the real awareness, the pure sense of subjectivity that cannot be known, that could not be known, meaning it cannot be known as an object. You can't perceive it. Because if you could perceive it, you know it. Therefore, it's not you. You are that which knows. So in Nisargadatta's teaching, that I am eventually is pure subjectivity, and it's that which knows the mind. And the analogy goes in the same way. The eye cannot see itself. Like this eye, the organ, cannot see itself. You can at the most see a reflection of itself in a mirror, but it can never see itself. In the same way, consciousness or subjectivity of knowingness cannot know itself as an object, but it is the only thing that knows itself as a subject. You know that, and it's a simple fact that consciousness exists because you are conscious. And this is all kind of wordplay. And this is where again the experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi can be useful, or just an experience of realizing that that which doesn't change doesn't have to be Samadhi experience. It can just be inside that there is always a part of me that's looking, and I can never see that part of me because it's that which sees. And this is very important. So think about it. When I say I can see it, what you are seeing is not it. You are seeing an object that appears to it. Maybe a very subtle object, but it's an object. So resting in the I am just means being still. It means relaxing. Me noticing if there is a sense of me. I am staying with it. I am staying with it and getting used to what is that sense of me. Then once you have got used to what sense of me is, then notice that is known to you. So whatever is known to you is not the essence of who you are. That is the way we have talked about so far about the resting in I am. But there are other ways as well. But you know what? Actually, the mind really cares about definitions and figuring it out. But the key is to just get started and do it, and you get the experience. It's like someone is sitting on the sidelines saying, how do you play tennis? How do you hold the racket? How do you do a backhand? How do you do a forehand? How do you serve? How do you smash? How do you volley? But never actually picking up the tennis racket and trying it. But the people want all the theory before they even step on the tennis court. And when you step onto the tennis court and pick up the racket and start hitting the ball, a lot of questions you had when you were on the sidelines are gone, because you know how to do. Suddenly you know how to do a smash because you are doing it. Then the question changes to, how do I do a better smash? You know what? How do I improve my technique? You see, lot of it is just that. Encouraging somebody who is approaching on the mental level. Potentially, I am not saying you are or anyone else, but if you are, you just dive into practice, pick up the racket and hit the ball.